right, to review, we're going to study diversity throughout the ecosystem, or throughout Earth, really, and how it affects cycling. So it's kind of all going to tie together. So let's review what biodiversity or the types of diversity are in an ecosystem. What's functional? Cycles. Matter and energy. Even though energy doesn't cycle, it's transferred or passed on, so it's kind of like a cycle, right? It just doesn't end in a loop. What about, what am I showing here? Animals, what kind? Birds. So, species, good. Species diversity. So you're always going to have variation amongst a group of organisms of the same species, and that actually helps to sustain life, because without diversity, and if there's too much if there's little genetic variation, which is actually the next one, then it's hard to survive or evolve or reproduce, which is what we're basically going to be talking about. And then the last one is what? What am I showing you here? Good. Ecological or ecosystem diversity. Terrestrial and aquatic. What's the definition of an ecosystem? A group of, what's smaller than an ecosystem? Good. A group of communities interacting with each other and what? Non-living, which is abiotic parts of the environment. Good. So if we're going to go with the levels in an ecosystem, we got community, and then what? Going down or backwards? Populations, species, organism. So there's a lot of components to an ecosystem, but at the end of the day, these two determine really everything about it. What's habitat?
Where they live.
Where they live is correct. And niche? Have you ever heard that?
Yes.
Good, their role. Awesome. So what's a role for me, let's say, in my environment? Teacher, mother. Now, of course, they have to give you these definitions. Realized and fundamental niche. Your realized niche is what actually takes place in your life, what you accomplish, okay? It's like me, I'm a teacher. My fundamental niche would have been, I would have been a doctor or an astronaut, right? It's something that I may have the potential to do, but I didn't accomplish it. So the realized, and those words kind of make sense. Realized niche is your actual role or the part of the niche that you're using, and the fundamental niche is the potential of what your niche can master, but it doesn't. Your habitat has to provide you with factors, and later, we've already discussed limiting. No, we're going to talk about limiting factors later on, but if you don't have these, then they're limiting factors. I highlighted green, biotic, and then the rest are abiotic. What do you think the green is? Huh? No, biotic. What does biotic mean? It could be fish. It could be any organism. Other organisms. You guys, you've been good about saying that answer, but always remember that we need other organisms in order to survive and reproduce and keep the population going. Name me some abiotic factors that are not listed here that correlate with what I have uncovered.
Weather.
Weather, good, which is ideal, let's say climate, more than weather. What's the difference between climate and weather? Do I say I want to look at the climate today?
Climate's just like the general thing, like for instance.
I should pause. Other abiotic, we got ideal climate. What do you think is up here? What do we say are the three most important things that sustain life? Air, good. And we'll just go with food. And food can actually be biotic, right? Because other organisms can be a source of food, and they're living if their relationship involves that kind. All right, so definition of a species again? An organism that can reproduce. Fertile offspring. Okay. And the reason we can determine history of species is through fossil records. And currently they believe there's 4 million to 100 million species on Earth. So I came back, I didn't uncover water. Water is obviously a necessary resource. Moving on. Last slide, okay? So in order to determine species diversity, which by definition is variety and abundance of species, we know that the role of an organism or species is called the niche, and they kind of break them down into two major groups, generalist and specialist. And I have some pictures here of, anybody know what these are? And just by the word, general and special. If you had to fill in these, what do you think generalists have? Potential niche, more like small or large niches, let's say. Large, okay, they have broad niches, and specialists will have like narrow niches or less roles, let's say. Now, how about live? Do you think generalists have long life, short life?
Short.
They actually have, oh, live anywhere, I'm sorry, live anywhere. They have a high tolerance for environmental change. And what do you think they feed off? Anything, a lot of things, good. So they have broad niches, means they don't occupy a specific habitat. They can live in many places. They can feed off a variety of foods, and they have a high tolerance for environmental change. So if there was like a massive weather condition or change in climate, they have an ability to tolerate that. Whereas specialists, one habitat, limited food source, and they have a low tolerance for environmental change. To look at the organisms down here, who can name them? Cockroaches what? Yeah, they can eat your attic really if they really wanted to. What else? Anybody know about this koala? Specialist, why? Yeah, like bamboo, like that specific, right? How about us? Generalist. Raccoons? Totally. I'm gonna put them in every slide. Did I tell you I hate them? Yeah. And specialist, good. So unfortunately, on the AP exam, they actually sometimes give you lists of organisms and you have to like categorize them. And these aren't just the